Come on. And there we go. Happy Sunday evening, folks. And it just got a whole lot happier. This is the heart of the order. Right now, you just have two of us. The third member of our triumvirate will be along shortly. He was actually in attendance at the game that just ended in Miami as the Marlins officially knocked the Mets out of the playoffs. The Cincinnati Reds, having lost today, will back in to that final wild card spot in the National League. And it just feels like a better October when the Mets are just not involved in it, doesn't it?
Oh, no doubt about it. What people fail to understand, in particular when I say people, I mean Mets fans fail to understand, is everybody, like all these Mets fans on Twitter over the last few days while Phillies fans are rooting against the Mets. They want the Mets to lose. And they're sitting there saying that we're scared to play them. No, we just hate your souls. Like, I don't care about your payroll. I don't care how much money you spent. Like, the fact that you spent $340 million and you spent $765 million on one player. Like, I don't give a shit about any of that. It does not matter to me. At the end of the day, I don't want you guys in because I want you guys to be absolutely miserable. Yes. That's, like, Mets fans, get over yourselves. No one gives a shit.
I hate you.
Yes. I mean, like,
my favorite part was my favorite part was the beginning of the year when they got off to the hot start. And every time the Mets do this, all you hear from it is how they're going to take over New York. It's like, no, you're not. You can win 5 straight World Series. Nobody gives a fuck about you. It's still a Yankees town. It's always going to be a Yankees town. That is never going to change, ever.
Little brother mentality. That's how they live. That's how they. I can't stand it. How they act. You beat us last October, but let's face facts with facts here. Whoever was going to win today, or in fact both lost today, you're going to Dodger Stadium, and really it's just the Dodger. It's the Dodger Invitational Memorial. Like whoever was going to go to Dodger Stadium, it's just a matter of time. And it's another thing that's annoying me with Phillies fans because they lost yesterday and they had a chance to get the 1 seat still if they would have won yesterday. Listen, at the end of the day, if the Phillies are the team that you think that they are or the think that they're going to be, being the team that has the best odds to win the World Series as of right now, you're going to have to go through the Dodgers. Sorry, hate to tell you people this. Sooner or later, you're going to face them, and it's just a matter of time now because the Dodgers should be able to handle
all kinds of connection issues here. I don't know if you can
hear me. Is
it
me or is it you? You good over there?
I think it's me, brother. I'm doing my speed test right now, and this is awful. This hasn't happened in probably a month. I don't know why it's like this. Chris, I'm going to text you. I'm going to drop out and then try to come back in.
Not a problem. I'll just talk ball, man. I'll wait for you to come back.
Yeah, just keep rolling, brother. Yeah, I'll be back in a minute.
Yeah, so those of you that are out there right now today, as you saw Major League Baseball in Game 162, they decided to have all the games today at 3 o'clock, which just lined everybody up. And we had some hell of races today. And as you know, Adam and I are going to allude to, and as Lou is going to hop in with us at some point in time to talk about, there was a lot of things that were still at stake. The number 1 overall seed in the American League was still at stake today as the Yankees and the Blue Jays went into it. If the Blue Jays won, which the Blue Jays did win, the Blue Jays were going to have the number 1 seed in the American League. And now the Yankees are going to have to play the wild card round, and they're going to have to play against a team like the Boston Red Sox are going to have to go in there. And listen, I feel like a lot of baseball fans have felt about this rivalry over the last 25 years, which came in really red hot when the Red Sox started to get hot towards the end of the late 90s. And they were sitting there. It was going down with the curse of the Bambino, and they had all those matchups against the Yankees on Sunday Night Baseball and in the postseason. And now you wound up getting like those matchups in the ALCS in 03 and 04. But like over the course of time, having those 4.5 hour games, which is pretty much the reason why that we were led into having a pitch clock in Major League Baseball, because those games were running so long. Now you're going to get it in the wild card round. And at Yankee Stadium, it's going to be a best of 3, which is going to be really cool. I know Adam's probably going to expunge on it and talk about it and how they shot themselves in the foot so many times to where maybe if they didn't put themselves in this situation, they wouldn't be playing in the wild card round. They would have the number 1 overall seed in the American League. But the Blue Jays now have the number 1 overall seed in the American League. The Mariners are going to be the 2 spot. Then you have the Yankees and the Red Sox battling it out in the 4-5 matchup. And then, man, talk about backing into the playoffs. The Detroit Tigers doing so, but they blew the division lead. September 1st, they were 12.5 games up on the Cleveland Guardians. I hate calling them Guardians. To me, they're still the Cleveland Indians. But they had a 12.5 game lead up. They blew that. So now Cleveland is going to have home field advantage against Detroit in the first round of the Major League Baseball playoffs for the wild card round. But let's just go ahead and say it's a beautiful thing that the Tigers still got themselves into the playoffs because the Houston Astros are staying home for the first time since 2016. And God help us all, the fact that that 8-year stretch is finally over. And hopefully it's over for good. I would love nothing more than to see the Houston Astros blow that thing up, but they won't. Still a good baseball team. Came down to the wire. They had a shot to get into the playoffs, but rest in peace. No Astros in the playoffs this year. It's a beautiful thing. From the National League standpoint, the Dodgers they're the 3rd spot. So they're going to have to play in the wild card round, and they're going to have to do it against the Cincinnati Reds. And like I said, as me and Adam were talking about at the top of the show, for me, I don't think the Reds stand a chance. I think whoever comes out of that series, obviously coming to Philadelphia, it's got to be the Dodgers. The Dodgers have too much firepower. The good thing is for the Phillies is that Yamamoto and Blake Snell and perhaps Ohtani are going to have to pitch in games 1, 2, and 3 if it goes 3. And that's why I say it's so important for the Phillies to win game 1. First of all, the Phillies have never won a postseason series where they've lost game 1. So the most important thing is to win game 1 next Saturday at home with Christopher Sanchez on the mound. Take game 1 and take that series in control. Because if they have to go 3 games, the Phillies are going to have to face their 4th starter in game 1. So it would be our ace versus their 4th starter, which he's really good. If it's Tyler Glasnow who doesn't go in game 3, they do have depth in their starting rotation. Who they go with in game 1 against us is going to be determined pretty much on how they play things out in those 3 games against the Reds. So we'll see how it works out from that standpoint. But Christopher Sanchez, we have an advantage against their 3 or 4, unless it's Ohtani. To me, Christopher Sanchez over Tyler Glasnow, to me, is a mismatch. I know Glasnow is a good starting pitcher, but coming into the bank, it's not like they're going to have Yamamoto or Blake Snell going up against him. Take game 1, and then you go into game 2, and you have Ranger Suarez. It's going to start game 2. I know he got hit by a line drive yesterday, contusion. It's a bruise. He was smiling. I don't see any reason to think that Ranger Suarez is not going to be ready for game 2. And then Hazel Zuzardo in game 3. With the travel schedule now, with the division series, you only have to start 3 players now. Hey, you look better. You don't look like you're freezing up.
So we'll see how it goes here. If it starts to get distorted and freeze up again, and it might, I have another setup I can use where I'll just end up using my cell phone. So we'll just go with that.
Not a problem, man. But you look good. You sound good, though. So I was pretty much just.
I'm surprised I have a voice today.
Yeah, the Eagles been doing that to me too, and I've been battling my allergies all week. So it's just been it's been a rough go of it with my voice as well. We've had 3 baseball games for fall ball this week, so there's been a lot of yelling and go through the bag. So we've had a lot going on with that, but I was just pretty much just breaking down how things have unfurled here. I first went in the American League and what was expected for this postseason. Today is 162 with all the games going at 3:00 today. As we found out, the Blue Jays got the top spot, which sticks you guys now in the wild card round. And hey, best of 3.
To the Blue Jays, right? Let's give some credit to the Blue Jays. They were struggling down the stretch, and they got the ship righted right at the end, just enough to hang on, not only win the American League East, but take that top spot in the American League overall. So Congratulations to the Blue Jays. I always say screw Canada, but they did their job. The Yankees got hot late, a lot of it due to Our last
Schedule.
9 games were, a lot of it was Baltimore and the Chi Sox the last 9 games, dude. But even the couple series before that, we were playing a little bit better baseball. Judge coming back around, starting to hit the ball, square it up a little bit more. But credit to the Blue Jays. They did what they had to do. Thank you, sweetheart. That's my family bringing me food.
There you go. It's a beautiful thing.
Credit to the Blue Jays for getting it done the way they had to get it done and getting themselves into that top spot. So, and then you look at the American League overall, I think it's wide open. I think it's even more wide open than the fact that the October pedigree that the Houston Astros normally bring is non-existent, right? So I think that opens the door for pretty much anyone to slip through and be that sacrificial lamb to whoever the fuck comes out of the National League.
Hey man, there's some good teams over there in the American League. And I'm saying for me, I take the Central out. I know Cleveland got hot down the stretch. They took advantage of Detroit choking, but for me, like whoever comes out of that and what is it, the 3-6 matchup, which means they'll wind up going to Seattle. I think Seattle has a pass now to the American League Championship Series, and then they're going to go to war with one of those East teams. And those East teams, say what you will, maybe flawed in some degree, in some shape or form, all three of them, they are all really formidable teams in the American League. I mean, Toronto, the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Red Sox with Crochet. I mean, that right there. You get a guy like that into a 3-game series. I'm assuming, are we getting Crochet and Rodon in game 1? Is that what we're getting?
Yeah, Max Fried. I guess if I could set it up that way, I would put Fried up first, and then go Rodon game 2. But I'm not going to complain about Rodon game 1 if that's the way that Boone and the boys decide to go with.
I just think Rodon has earned that being in the pinstripes over the last few years. This is Fried's first year there. I would feel more comfortable if I'm the Yankees. I would feel more comfortable with the postseason pedigree of a Max Fried. I would much rather him be in a must-win game 2, or we're putting this away game 2. So I would start off with Rodon in game 1 and then have Fried game 2. I just think it just makes more sense. Rodon seems to perform better when the pressure isn't as mounted. And listen, the game 1 is definitely high-pressure situation. But if you lose game 1 with Max Fried on the hill, how does Rodon perform in a game 2? I would prefer to have Fried, who's won a World Series. I would much prefer to have him in game 2.
Yeah, I agree with you on that front. I think Rodon gets inside his own head. He gets a little too intense. Roger Clemens was a lot like that, where he would overthrow. The first couple innings, you could get to him, right? Whereas a Max Fried, he's very calm. It's almost like the dude doesn't have a pulse half the time, right? He just looks like he just fired up a giant ass joint and then walked out to the mound, dude. Like he's really, really just mellow dude. So in that situation, you're talking about a 3-game series. That first game is going to be a pressure cooker to begin with. So, I mean, you can make the argument Fried might be better in that spot, but I do agree also with what you're saying in that if you happen to drop game 1, you're going to need a calming presence and somebody with some, with some postseason gusto previously in his career to be able to right the ship for game 2. So, having to face Garrett Crochet just sucks all the way around. It's not going to be a pleasant night. But this is October baseball, man. This is what you want, right? You can hate teams all you want, but you want the good pitching matchups. You want you want to be on the edge of your seat, your hands sweating, just even watching whatever game, whether it's your team or not. That's why we all sit here and watch these games, man. I'm looking forward to it.
When you had to check out, I was talking about the Yankees-Red Sox rivalry. Now, obviously, this has gone on for a long time, but it became so much bigger in the overall general landscape of professional sports as being like the biggest rivalry in all sports, outside of maybe sans Duke, North Carolina basketball. When the Red Sox started to make their push in 98, 99, making the playoffs again in 99. Yeah. Like it's in that pantheon. But if we're talking professional sports, it was the coup de grace. It was the number one for probably about a decade. I think it kind of lost its luster over the last maybe, decade. I know the Yankees obviously have still been relevant. They made it back to a World Series. They've been in a couple other American League Championship Series. But once the curse of the Bambino was lifted, and the Red Sox won 4 in 14 years, and the Yankees only got their 1 in 09, it kind of really was like throwing water on the fire. Right. Well, but it also like, yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. So now it's no longer that big rivalry, but I love the fact, like, dude, this is a 3-game series at Yankee Stadium. It's Yankees Red Sox. I mean, this is as must see out of all the first round matchups. You get 2 teams that, like, obviously the Guardians got hot, but like, again, do we honestly think that the Guardians or the Tigers are going to make a run here in October? No. I think we know what the Dodgers are as defending champions against the Reds. Kudos to them. Got themselves in. They backed themselves in, but they got themselves there into the postseason. Absolutely. Yep. And kudos to Tito and that group for getting themselves in, but I don't know if they have enough to get past the Dodgers. Anything can happen in a 3-game series. We've seen it over the years. It's happened. Yep. But and then you look at the other matchup in the National League. That's the one that I really like. The Cubs and the Padres. That's going to be really cool. That
should be fun. Anytime you get postseason baseball at Wrigley Field, you know what I mean. There's those ballparks, right? Dodger Stadium, Yankee Stadium, Fenway Park, Wrigley Field. Look. I mean, give me my druthers. I would wish the Red Sox would go 0-162 forever. But as far as a baseball standpoint, getting October baseball at Fenway is special. Getting October baseball at Wrigley is special. Dodger Stadium, Yankee Stadium. Hell, the Reds, dude. If by some miracle they're able to get past the Dodgers and it becomes Reds Phillies in the division round, you're going to get an October game here in Cincinnati, right? And I personally feel like and you tell me how you feel about this, but I think there are certain teams who, when they are relevant, it's just better for the sport overall. And I think the Reds are one of those teams. You know what I mean? I think it's just good for the game.
I agree. I look at, listen, I know I'm biased, but I think that's the way it is with the Phillies. When the Phillies are good, when the Phillies get in, I mean, the Phillies are a top 5 sports market, but like Philadelphia is a top 5 sports market. And we've seen the aura of the bank. I mean, how it's like really taking on its own form. It's putting itself aura-wise in with those other ballparks, the older ballparks. And the bank has been around now for 21, 22 years. It came into existence in 2004. That 5-year stretch with the Jimmy Rollins and the Chase Utleys and the Ryan Howards and the Cole Hamels, it had it then, but I'll tell you, since 20, I was there. We've talked about this on the broadcast and all that stuff. Like, I've missed one Phillies postseason series in my lifetime where I didn't go to at least one game in a postseason series, and that was the '93 World Series. And I got to witness some awesome moments in that 5-year stretch. I do not remember the ballpark ever being as loud then during those 5 years as it has been over the last few. And I don't know.
Dude. So when you could look at old Yankee Stadium and the noise that would come out of that place, that's what it sounds like at the bank now. It's that level of volume. And I mean, you can go there on a Saturday afternoon against, as long as it's against against the Padres or some team that you're going to be battling against to get to where you want to go. Right. And so the crowd has that juice. And I mean, it could be a Saturday afternoon, dude, in the middle of June. If it's a big series like that, that place is so loud. I have not heard a baseball stadium sound like that since old Yankee Stadium. And that is, I will tell you that. You take that as a compliment, take it as fuck old Yankee Stadium, whatever you want to look at it. But the noise that used to come out of that place, I get that same feel, that same volume coming out of the bank. It's a special place, and I'm glad I got to go. Yeah,
and you can feel it through the TV. And that's the thing. Like, you were talking about like Wrigley Field and having postseason baseball at Wrigley Field, and I'll tell you, like, I've seen close to 20 games at Wrigley Field. I've been to pretty much for a 5-year stretch. I was pretty much at every single Phillies Cubs game at Wrigley Field. maybe it was a 6-year stretch. What, 9, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13? So, yeah, 6 years in a row, 7 of 8. I was always at Phillies Cubs with my dad at Wrigley, and had some great moments there. So for the Phillies, I saw Ramos Ramirez hit a grand slam off Chad Durbin in my first game there. Bottom of the 7th inning, we were up 4-2, and the 2 or 3 schmucks that were sitting behind us that were quiet for almost 7 innings, they finally started chirping at me. Of
course.
Absolutely. Yeah, I told him, I was like, "Oh, man, you guys been quiet the whole game, and now I want to hear you talk." But yeah, like Wrigley Field, like that's a bucket list thing. Like me and my dad were already talking. Like if we can do it, we're going to do it this October.
Yeah, sure.
We'll see where it falls, but you got to get to the NLCS. Both teams have to get to the NLCS. They'll have to actually get through their round. And I think the Brewers are leaking some oil here, man. I know you've talked them up over the last couple shows that we've been on here, and the quality of baseball that they played. But I'm telling you,
they've leveled out, dude.
Whoever comes out of that Cubs-Padres series has a great shot to knock off the Brewers in the DS.
I totally agree. In particular, I can tell you, if the Padres get hot, they are going to be a handful for anyone to deal with. Like, they're there, I understand, in a 5 and all that stuff. They're in the division with the goddamn Dodgers, who is basically like the Justice League with their payroll and their roster. But if that Padres team gets hot, that's going to be a lot for anybody. I think in some situations it's bad to have the layoff. I think in other situations it works out well. I think the Brewers need this break. Because I agree with you. They've been leaking oil. They leveled out. They were hot, red hot, stupid hot for a while, playing that brand of baseball that I grew up with, where it wasn't Homer, Walker, strikeout. It was death by 1,000 paper cuts. It's pitching well. It's situational. It's great defense. But then they leveled out, and it felt like a tailspin, right? And they almost screwed it up. The Phillies could have very easily been the one. That was on the table just until the last 2 games. So I think the Brewers need that break. I think the Phillies, dude, you've been there like every year the last couple of years. I don't think a break or a continuance really is going to disrupt or anything with you guys. I think you're just going to, we got the week. We're going to get set. We'll be ready for which one of these assholes comes out in the first round. We'll expect the Dodgers. We'll be ready for the Reds, yada, yada. I think the Yankees not being the 1 seed, the only positive to that is we've been playing better ball, and this just continues, right? They don't have that break. So I tell you, the one I'm really looking forward to is I'm looking forward to a home playoff game in Seattle, and seeing that crowd get back into it, because that's an underrated ballpark, man, and they deserve it out there. And I think they're fun, and I like Cal Raleigh, and I think it's going to be just the way this whole thing sets up. I'm here, man. I'm ready. Like, let's get it on. I'm ready for this party to kick off. I cannot wait. Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Seattle, a couple of years ago they made the playoffs for the first time since 2001, but they made the wild card round and they went to Houston. They didn't even host a playoff game. They haven't hosted a playoff game since 2001.
Now they get their first 2 at home. I know, it's nuts, right?
Dude,
remember how great they were?
Yeah, well, that 2001
so good,
116 wins, and that was when they lost A-Rod to Texas, and they lost like over a 3-year span.
Randy Johnson went to Arizona.
Yep. Well, Randy Johnson, remember they traded him to Houston in '98.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then
and Griffey left the year before that for Cincinnati in a 3-year stretch. They left. Now, say what you want. I know like how we feel about A-Rod, but Hall of Fame worthy players. They lost 3 of the greatest players in a 20-year stretch in a 3-year period. It's it's nuts better to think about. Yeah, and got better. I mean, Ichiro, 27 years old as a rookie of the year, MVP same year. It's just
he was just stupid good, dude. Like, and that the ugliest swing you'll ever see. It worked. Like, he was so fast. And then his mechanics in the outfield with the throws. Oh my God, dude. Ichiro was must-see TV.
Yes.
Every single time. Must-see TV. And that Marlins, that Mariners team was deadly, that 0-1 team. They just ran into the Yankee machine, dude. That was during that stretch where like the American League was just there was nobody in the American League that was beating the Yankees during that stretch. It just wasn't there. They didn't. There was a fear, and you could see it. The Yankee Stadium would get in their heads, and it took a pitcher like a Curt Schilling who doesn't get rattled, right, with the Diamondbacks, and then later with the Red Sox, and a Pedro Martinez. It took that level of shit to stop that Yankee machine. It took a massive choke in 04 for that for that to finally stop.
I also think too. I mean that 0-1 Yankee team, they were riding that 9/11 wave. I mean, like, yeah, I think I'm not going to say that it changed the course of history, but the way that Mariners team was playing that year, and the Yankees, obviously, back then you only had 4 teams that made the playoffs, so it's not like the Yankees weren't posed to make the playoffs once 9/11 happened. But sometimes there's just extenuating circumstances that pick a city and a team up and just drive them to higher heights that even you couldn't imagine. And like the Yankees were already riding a wave of a stretch of, 4 World Series in 5 years where they won them, and then they were going back and really it was that 9th inning in 2001 that got to Mo with Tony Woe and all those guys on that Diamondbacks team. That's a great team. That Diamondbacks
they were good.
Team.
That team was very good.
But look at those teams. I mean, like I know the Diamondbacks had some sort of staying power, and I'm not putting them in the same pantheon as the 07 or the 97 Marlins, which was a one and done, and then they went in the tank, and then they came back, and then they did it in 03, and then they went back in the tank. But those expansion teams, man, they loaded up on those veteran players. They took advantage of their windows, and they won. And that's what those teams rode. But the Yankees were just a staying power. I mean, like it was just.
Well, and you brought up the 9/11 things, and I think that's accurate. You saw it even in that World Series, the 3 games in New York.
Byung-Hyuk Who, man, he just completely melted.
Bro, at the risk of sounding racist here, we nicknamed him Hang One High. Tino gets him, Brosius gets him, Jeter walks it off. I mean, it was just, and this was a Yankees team that was getting owned. Like as the Diamondbacks' overall pitching staff had us flatlined. I think we were batting like 100 for the series as a team. It was brutal, and it just those moments, man. Our pitching staff was just good enough to keep the game close in those 3 in the Bronx, man. And back at that point in time in that ballpark, if you screwed around too much and kept the Yankees close, you got what you paid for eventually, dude. That stretch, 98 was the culmination of the whole thing. Obviously, 114 regular season wins, 125 wins overall, plus the World Series. There were times I remember clearly a Sunday. I think it was a Sunday afternoon. I was hungover.
That's normally how most days when we're that young. That's normally how most days started.
I was 19 years old. I was hungover, and I'm trying to watch the freaking game, and the Yankees are getting buried. Right? I want to say it was Oakland. They're just getting smushed, and I fell asleep. Right? I wake up to watch Tino Martinez walk it off. And I'm like, how the fuck did this just happen? Like it was just a brutal game. But that was how that team was. They were never out of it. There wasn't the big bopper. There wasn't, you didn't have a McGuire or Griffey or anything like that. You just had a bunch of dudes that were hard-nosed baseball players. Tino Martinez was an incredibly tough player. Bernie Williams, who was Paul O'Neill. Bernie Williams was an amazing athlete that just so happened to be able to play good baseball, right? He wasn't like a natural baseball player. He was like a track runner and all this shit and just became good at baseball. He would get hot in particular from the right side of the plate, he would get hot where there'd be like a week where you just could not pitch to him. He'd go through a week where he'd hit like 850 for the week. It's like, I don't know why. But the problem was if you didn't pitch to him, then you had to pitch to Tino, right? Tino batted right behind him. Or you had to pitch to Posada, who was also a giant pain in the ass. Or, if Strawberry was in the lineup, maybe he's batting fifth or sixth that day. They were just so talented from top to bottom and trusted each other so much to pass that baton. It was a special time. It was just an incredibly special time.
I felt that way about the Phillies for a decade. I mean, like even though they didn't make the playoffs until 2007, like when they started building what they built in 2001, I mean, they lost the division to the Braves by 2 that year, and they had no right to be there. Period. End of story. I mean, Omar Dahl, David Coggin, Nelson Figueroa, Vicente Padilla, Brandon Duckworth. I mean, like those were guys that they were trotting out in their starting rotation. And I'm telling you right now, really, the Phillies probably would have won a division that year if they didn't make. Turk Wendell was complete dog shit for us.
I couldn't stand that guy.
Dude, he changed his number. He was only with us for 2 months. He changed his number. He was so bad. He wore 13 and 99. And then, like, he started wearing – and remember how, like, when he was with the Mets, he wore those, like, shark teeth, like the necklace?
Uh-huh.
Like, dude,
yeah,
he was – I wanted a shark to eat him like Deep Blue Sea when Samuel Jackson got eaten. Like, it was so bad. Now, but to me, that team is what built towards, because that's when Jimmy Rollins was there and Pat Burrell was there, and they started brick by brick. All right, cool. 2 years later is when they signed Tomey, and then they brought in, and then Utley started, and then here we go. A couple years later is Howard, and then the year after that is Hamels, and then it's Carlos Ruiz and Shane Victorino and Rowan. They're like brick by brick by brick, they built this thing. But during that stretch, there was never a game that you felt like they were out of it. You would watch that game no matter what. No matter if you're down 11-2 in the 7th or you're down 7-0 in the 8th, you never stop watching because they always had a chance to come back in the game. I love this Phillies team. I love this Phillies team right now.
I like your team.
So do I. I love this team. However, this stretch over the last 4 years, they've had moments. They haven't hit a walk-off home run since June 2023.
Jesus Christ. Is that
correct?
Is that real?
Walk-off home run since June 2023. I was at that game against the Dodgers on a Friday night. Kyle Schwarber hit a 2-strike piss missile in the right field. That's the last time they hit a walk-off home run.
So almost 2.5 years
since a walk-off home run. They've had walk-offs, but they've had
I get it, but not the walk-off homer. And with all the power in that lineup, that's nuts, dude. I did not realize that. Wow.
Yeah, dude.
That's crazy.
That. Yeah. Just to think about that. Like,
jeez.
But these guys, like, they've gone ice cold over the last week, except for that game where they broke the franchise record with 8 home runs. That's the thing with this Phillies team. That it was, but that's what people are worried about. That's what people. They're not worried about the starting rotation. Yes, we would love to have Zach Wheeler. Absolutely. Sure. But maybe there's some spots in the bullpen that you're worried about. But people are worried about the offense when we start to go. And these days off, 5 days off, we have an intra-squad workout, an intra-squad game that's happening Wednesday night at the bank. They sold 18,000 seats yesterday. 18,000. They were thinking about opening, and that was the last I saw. $10 seats. It's all going to Phillies charity,
which is awesome.
Yes,
this is what Philadelphia does, right? So you get the Eagles practice that they sell tickets to at the link, right? You get an intra-squad game. The Phils getting ready for the postseason. $10 seats going to charity. I don't think enough appreciation is put. I think Philadelphia, everyone outside looking in, is just like, oh, they're a bunch of assholes, the snowballs at Santa Claus, all that lame bullshit. And truth be told, yes. But I don't think there's enough. I don't feel like there is enough good things said about how passionate and dedicated the Philadelphia fan base really is. You've got one of everything in each sport, and there is never a question of who your allegiance is to in and around that city. You get people moving from in and out and whatever. If they're from northern Jersey and they move to South Jersey, they're probably more New York guys. Got it. But by and large, it's Eagles, Phillies, Flyers, Sixers. And it doesn't really deviate at all. Maybe a little bit of mix based on some parents' influence or whatnot, but overall, and the passionate, that's why the bank sounds the way it does. It's that level of passion. The place is built to hold in that noise, which is great. But that noise doesn't happen without the passion of that fan base. That's the fan base. That's what the Yankee fans used to have. Hey, let's all give a giant round of applause.
Yes.
There he is, folks. Mr. 305 himself, fresh home from watching his Marlins take down the Mets, knocking them all the way out of the playoffs after their big bad start where they thought they were taking over the league. How you doing, brother?
Oh, it was great, man. Great atmosphere at the ballpark today. And, Marlins ended the Mets season. Cincinnati dropped the game in Milwaukee and opened up the door for them, but the Mets could not pull through there, and the Fish sent them home.
In typical Mets September fashion, they could not get it done. Isn't that just a crying shame?
Yeah, there was a lot of frustrated Mets fans. I mean, obviously New York, a lot of New Yorkers down here, and the park was full of them as always. I'd say about 60% of the park today was all Mets fans, and they started off very high on themselves and very confident and cocky. But by the fifth inning, they were very quiet and not a lot of "Let's go" chants. A lot of the Marlins fans were mocking them with "Let's go Reds" chants. So that was. I'm not sure you guys got it because you were about to hit the air when I texted you guys. But as soon as it went final in Milwaukee, the Marlins played WKRP in Cincinnati over the loudspeaker to announce that it's gone final and now it's up to the Mets. So that was a nice little troll job by the Marlins.
Sounds like there was a lot of assholes at Marlins Park.
Not only did you end their season, but you stuck their freaking nose in it all game long, too. That is just awesome. I love it. It could not have ended on a better note.
Yeah. You did it to him again. 07, 08, and now this year. I mean, like, did you have any conversations with Mets fans today at the ballpark about how, like, were they? Because a lot of people were frustrated at the fact that you guys pretty much at your own expense, you pushed Sandy back to start this series against them. Because if you guys started now, I know the Phillies hit Sandy pretty well. They normally beat Sandy, but to push him back and not try and win more of the series against us, that might have been at your own detriment. Anybody say anything like that to you about how, like, you guys lined up your three best pitchers against them this weekend?
There was some talk. I didn't attend the first two games, but definitely today there were a lot of, they were cocky, but a lot of nerves too. They're like, oh, we're hoping not for another repeat where the Fish, see us out. But that's exactly what happened. And you're right. The Marlins, if it was up to me, I would have rested Sandy. He went out with his last couple starts, not against the Phillies, obviously, but previous to that, he went out on a high note after the tumultuous start to the season. So I wouldn't have let Sandy take the ball one last time. Only wrong things could happen off that, but they went ahead and they did. They threw out their three aces, and they won 2 out of 3, and thus knocked the Mets out. Yeah, Alvarez.
Do you think for Sandy? Do you think that was more as a gift towards Sandy?
It could have been. I would have said more if he had a chance to get to a 500 record with the win. He improved the record to 11-12. Still, nice way to go out. He pitched 7 strong innings Friday night. Look, I'm sure that they They asked him. They said, I'm sure he wanted to take the ball too. He didn't want to give up the ball for sure. In the 7th inning, when they went to get him, the 8th inning, they gave him one batter. He did not want to come out of the game. If you see he put his glove up to his mouth and he was talking Clayton McCullough, or trying to talk him out of taking him out of that game. 100 pitches even. So yeah, it might have been, Sandy, this is your last hurrah here, and go out and get the Mets and send them home. So yeah.
And send them home.
Friday night, Mets controlled their own destiny, and as soon as obviously Sandy and the Fish beat up on Friday night and the Reds won, that was out the window. So now it was a matter of watching what the Reds did and not what they could do on their end. And it's a hapless feeling. You could sense the tension from the fans, from the dugout. Our seats were right behind the Marlins dugout, about 10 rows up, so we could see into the Mets dugout. They were wandering, pacing. The Mets catcher Alvarez, after striking out with the bases loaded in the 8th, broke his bat, Bo Jackson style, on his knee. But yeah, they were up in arms. And then, of course, look, say what you want, the Mets lineup they got a lot of pop in that.
They do.
And up and
They can do it.
9th, they had a runner on with one out. Lindor comes up, and then Soto, Alonso, and Nimmo are to follow. And Lindor grounded out to a double play to end it. But the Mets were just stunned all day. 4 runs in the 4th inning was all the Fish needed. The Mets could not even put one across the board today.
I couldn't believe that
the Reds really, they tried to give this away. They dropping a couple of games to Pittsburgh. You had to win those games. Really felt like they had done themselves in there. But here we are. And then, don't forget the Diamondbacks were also still part of the conversation this week, too. They were right there. They had the rougher road, though. They had to take on San Diego and the Dodgers to close the season, whereas the Reds had Pittsburgh and Milwaukee. I was telling my buddies out here yesterday, I'm like, you guys are the biggest Minnesota Twins fans on the planet right now. That's because if they beat the Phillies, Milwaukee has nothing to play for on Sunday. Nothing. It's all locked up. And now they're come to find out it didn't really freaking matter. The Reds lost today anyways, but it was almost like I wasn't sure if either of them even wanted that last spot the way them and the Mets played down the stretch here. Just the last week was a little rough.
I'll say this. I don't think I've hated a Mets catcher since Paul LaDuca. Like I hate Alvarez. I can't stand it. And they're both short, fat dudes. I mean, I remember like when we swept the Mets at our house at the end of August in 2007, and LaDuca's like, they may be dancing now, but we'll see who's dancing at the end of the year. Well, guess what, motherfucker? We still were dancing at the end of the year, and we won the World Series that you blew in 2006 because you guys couldn't get through the Cardinals, and you lost that Game 7 with Beltran's jockstrap still on the ground against Wainwright. I'll say this, though. When I saw that Diaz was in there pitching the 5th and the 6th, like, man, talk about reaching for all-time. Like, what was your thought process when you were witnessing that in person there, Lou? Because I was just following it because Jason Stark was on Twitter. We're watching the Eagles game, and he's like, the Mets have used 4 pitchers in 4 innings. Chaos. So I looked at, they were on their 6th pitcher with Diaz from the 5th and 6th innings. They brought in your closer. I mean, all-time desperation levels that the Mets were reaching for in that situation, right?
No. So what was it, 11 pitchers they used? 11 or 12, whatever the hell it was?
I lost track there after a while, man. With Manaya, and then it seemed like they were making a pitching change after every 3 batters, like they're supposed to wait for it. It was incredible. But yeah, coming out there, just again a move of desperation. The Marlins got 4 runs on the 4th inning, but you could see that the manager just did not want to let any more inspiration or any hope for the Marlins whatsoever. Wanted to close that door on them. Diaz, of course, ended his season before it even got started at the WBC a couple of years back. So he already had some bad luck on that field as it is. So yeah, it was shocking to see him out there that early in a 4-0 game.
So they used 8 pitchers. Manaya, Brazoban, Rayleigh, Stanek, Rogers, Diaz, Helsley, Soto. That was the Mets pitchers today. That is insane. 8 pitchers in a 9-inning ball game. That is bananas, dude.
Just not.
Jeez.
And another friendly reminder to our friends, the Mets fans. No one was scared of you in October. Nobody is sitting here talking about how bad we feel for you because of your payroll. We didn't want you in the playoffs because you guys are assholes.
Yeah.
Point
We
blank.
didn't want you in because we hate you. Like, we
Plain
just hate
and
you.
simple. Yes. Yeah. It's for
For
no
me,
other reason.
For you guys, a little different. You gotta deal with them, all year long in your division. For me, it's like it's the noogies every year on Little Brother, right? But yeah, you can't stand them. Like Chris and I, a little before you came on, we were talking about the Mets, and from our perspective, whenever the Mets start out really hot or they have a big year or whatever, there's all these Met fans that just immediately think they're about to take over New York City. And every time I have to tell them, guys, you could win 5 World Series in a row. This is still a Yankees town. Nothing is ever going to change that. It's never going to change. And they hate it so much when you just give them that brutal honesty, and it's glorious.
No doubt. Look, Little Brother, they're always going to be second fiddle in New York. But the fact that they stole or didn't steal, but they signed Soto and took him away from the Yankees, and they still that was still not enough to get them into the field of 6 says all I need to know. And look, Soto did have a really good season. The average not so much, but you know the numbers, you see the numbers. But when you're at the ballpark and you see the numbers up at the ballpark, 43 home runs, 38 steals, 100 plus RBIs, and yes, a 264 average, not what he's used to, but he walks a ton. It really hits harder to the Mets fans knowing that they took Soto away from the Yankees, and yet they're left out of October baseball. It's got to be a big demoralizing situation for them.
And the Mets to pay this guy. Everybody keeps calling it a $765 million contract. It's not going to be that. It's going to be $805 million because he'll opt out. They'll re-up him, and that's what the contract will be.
Right.
That is going to be an absolute albatross for this kid.
The Mets have a lot of issues. They have a ton of issues. I mean, like Pete Alonso. I know, but I'm just saying, like Pete Alonso is going to opt out of his contract. He's going to get paid this offseason. Whether it's them or whether it's somebody else, he's going to get paid this offseason. Did I see Edwin Diaz is going to be a free agent? Because they already have they already have a ton. Like I think I saw something like the fat dude Frank the Tank has been talking about how he was going to be a free agent. Because his shit always pops up on my. I don't follow him. He always pops up on my Twitter feed.
It's the baseball algorithm.
It's algorithm. Yeah, with his. I mean, he's a big fat dude too. So
fucking turkey neck, bro.
Oh my god! I mean, he did lose a lot of weight. Got to give him credit. Got to give him credit. He's lost a lot of weight. He looks like fat bastard when he went on the subway diet, just like Jared did. But like their starting rotation was one of the worst in all baseball this year. As far as quality starts was concerned, they're in the bottom 5 with quality starts of 6+ innings a game. Like, yeah, McClain is going to go into next year. He had a nice stretch the last couple months as a rookie, but he's going into next year. You can't depend on a second-year guy to be your ace. And, like, Sean Manaea took steps backwards. Frankie Montez was terrible. Like, Clay Holmes had a great first half. Oh, yeah, well, you know that as a Yankee fan, but, like, he
fuck Clay Holmes.
He faded down the stretch. You've been saying that for years. But like they have, and listen, again, none of us feel bad, but they have a lot of holes to patch up. It's great saying that you can start off your lineup with a a Lindor and a Soto, but after that, it's looking razor thin, especially with Nimmo having that plantar fascia that he's got going on his foot that flares up. He's got the neck issue from him crashing in the wall, and that's a big contract too. Like, I'm telling you, the Marlins, we talked about this in our group text thread the other night. The Marlins can take the next step in their rebuild if they would shell some money out to put with these younger guys that have performed this year. The East is there. The Phillies are getting old. I still think the Phillies have a couple years left in this run with this group, even though Schwarber and Real Muto and Ranger Suarez, those guys are going to hit the market, but the Phillies are still going to be there. But the Mets are starting to come back down to the pack. The Braves are starting to come back down to the pack now with their age and their contracts and paying these guys. And
their injuries.
Correct. And everybody thought that the Nationals were the team that was primed to take the step this year in the National League East. Well, guess what? They went backwards this year.
Yeah, they were bad. They were very disappointing. Yep.
Very disappointing. They had to fire their general manager. They had to fire their manager. So they're going to have to hire a new GM and a new manager. And James Wood was not the same player in the second half as he was in the first. Abrams hasn't been the same player since the end of last year. So there's a lot of things that are going wrong. If the Marlins could sit there and make the right moves this offseason, they can make a really solid run, not the 81 shot that they had this year of getting into the postseason. They can get back to the playoffs again next year like they did in 23.
So Edwin Diaz has a player opt-out.
He's opting out. There ain't no doubt.
Yeah.
Yep. Available 2026. So yeah, it's after. So once this league year ends, he can opt out.
Oh, yep. Dude, he's going to do what A-Rod used to do. He's going to, and what Soto's going to do. He's going to opt out, and he's going to get a 5-year contract. He got 5 years for a hundo last time. If the Mets are dumb enough to do it again, they'll do it again.
Well, I mean, we've talked about that owner, right? He's basically just a fan with huge, deep pockets. That's what he is. He's a nutcase. So, some of that is, makes him unpredictable. Guys like that are a little bit, they're hard to really put your finger on. Like, he went out and immediately spent all that money on a Scherzer and a Verlander and all that. That blew up in his face. And you're kind of just expecting him to just continue to throw gas on it with the deep pockets. Well, he didn't do that right away. He ended up getting rid of those two to try and reset it, right? And then, of course, he goes after Soto. We all know the Soto thing. One, look, I think we've talked about it in our group text where Soto, as great as he is for the two tools that he has, it is just two tools, right? He's got some. I guess his speed is a little bit better than you really want to than you would think, but it really is just the two tools. He hits, he hits for power and he hits for batting average. $805 million. That was 100% about taking him from the Yankees. That's all it was about. He wanted the back page. He wanted to stick it to the Bronx, and so he did. I was actually disappointed that the Yankees tried to, when I heard the contract offer that we gave to Soto, I didn't like it. I didn't want to hear about $700-something million for this dude. As great as he was, last season in the Bronx, I just couldn't see shelling out all that when you can literally plug 5 other holes with that fucking contract.
And you did.
Yep.
You did.
Bellinger has been a godsend this year. Max Fried was great this year. Even the little trade for McMahon, who doesn't hit worth a shit, but he settled down the defensive problems at third base. Not having Soto there allowed for a lot of these things to go on. And I think you saw a team down the stretch there that was trying to breathe a little life into a fan base that's kind of starved for, a team that actually looks like a real winner. I think we made the World Series last year just by default of an incredibly weak American League. Not that I think it's that much stronger this year, but the Blue Jays I think are better. That Seattle team, if they're clicking, boy, that Seattle team's a freaking nightmare, dude.
Yep.
Chris, you and I talked about it before about Detroit, Cleveland. But neither of them are getting past the Marlins unless something awful happens. So for us, it's you got Boston first. They're going to be a freaking pain in the ass. Toronto. And this is also not fun, right? We lost the season series with Toronto. So, it had to be, we had to win the division outright. We couldn't finish tied. So we lost the season series to Boston too. Kind of everything you guys and I talked about at the start of the year when we were doing this, and that the Yankees kind of felt like a third place team. It didn't work out that way record wise, but the two teams that we're going to have to play to get to the ALCS are the two teams that we lost the season series to and are probably better than us overall.
I gripe one, and I'm going to have a couple when you guys already started talking playoffs, but look, the fact that they took away division games, right, to get everybody to play against each other, that hurts. Obviously, when you say that they finished tied today, right? Because the Yankees ended up being the Orioles. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes. So you finished tied. Play the extra game. I'm sorry. I know that there's no time, this and the other, but you took away division games. So now you play less against your division opponents. And then it comes down to, being tied on the last game of the year. And I just play one more game for the division. I don't know. That bothers me, man.
I kind of agree with him. I do. I agree with you, man. I'd like to see that 163rd game. And, push all your chips in, dude. You know what I mean? This is it.
Means everything. Toronto locked up home field throughout the entire American League playoffs.
Yep.
And Yankees now have to start in a 3-game series that anybody can win in a 3-game series. The Rockies might answer well, maybe not the Rockies, but point taken, right? Anybody can win in a 3-game series, and so you have to. It's a big deal. It's a big deal for finishing tied and not being able to, have that tiebreaker to officially go up by 1 game and win it officially.
I just don't know if the players' union bought into that 163rd game. Because, I understand the dynamic and the concept of hey, listen, if you win that game, but you would have to push the wild card series back another day at least, because nobody in their right mind is going to want to play a 163rd game, especially I know the logistics of New York City and Toronto is not bad, but what if the logistics? What if it's a wild card spot and it's Seattle and the Rays?
Cleveland.
Yeah, something like that.
There you go.
Yeah. You got to play that 163rd game, and then as Seattle, you just got done wrapping up at home against the Dodgers. Now you got to fly all the way across the country to play a 1-game off on a Monday, only for you to see hey, all right, is it seeding? It sucks, but if the Yankees really wanted it, the Yankees should have beat Toronto in the regular season series. That's the way they lined it up. I miss game 163. I love those games. They were some awesome games. But this is how they lined it up because listen, I think we're all traditionalists here, right? I mean, I miss the days where, and my dad is really big on it too. Where really interleague play was for 3 weeks in June. That's what it was, right there for
and
a
remember,
decade.
it was supposed to rotate too, right? It was supposed to the East would play the East, then the East would play the Central. The East play. It wasn't this where I had to play the friggin' Mets every year. Right. I find it incredibly annoying. Yeah, because for them, that's their World Series.
Yeah,
and for us, it's fuck you. You just go away.
Oh, this rivalry weekend bullshit, the Phillies and the Pirates. What the fuck is that?
What kind of fucking rivalry is that?
Who made that? Why? Because they're across the state? They've been dog shit largely for the last 30 years. Yeah.
Cleveland and Cincinnati. They don't give a shit.
No.
I agree with you.
Give us the Mets. Give us the Braves. Shit, I'll take the Marlins. They've given us a hard time over the years. Or the Nationals and their attitude trying to lock us out of their ballpark. I mean, whatever. To sit here and say, oh, this is our rivalry. No, it's not. What are we talking about? No, we haven't been a rivalry with the Pirates since the 70s. The late 70s.
Since the We Are Family when Pops is out there fucking.
Yeah, it's Larry Boa, the Bull, and Michael Jack. No one gives a fuck about the Pirates. Get out of here. But I understand. I get it. Again, Lou, I understand it too. When you're talking about the wild card series, they have to find a right mix to do so, though. If you do that, you have to get rid of the bye week. You have to get rid of it. The bye should no longer exist, because if you do a best of 5 or travel logistics, again, we're talking about the Reds and the Dodgers. So how do you do it? Do you do game 1 in Cincinnati and games 2 and 3 in LA? Do you go 1-1-1? It's a lot of travel just to get a 3-game set in. If you do it that way, you would have to eliminate the bye weeks.
But my idea was get that 1 game. Just give the fans, you get into the playoffs. You should host at least 1 game at your ballpark. So my idea would do 1 game, game 1, lesser seed, and then the next 4 would be at the higher seeds ballpark. And at least you appease the home crowd and get them that 1 game in, and you play it straight across. So you don't need that second travel day between game 4 and 5. So that would be my idea. But again, I just think that every fan base deserves to at least host one playoff game, in my opinion, after a long season.
Well, and Chris, I think Chris hit the nail on the head before with what he brought up. The players' union. I mean, they're just anything that adds to the schedule that doesn't speak to more compensation. They are just never going to hear it, right? And look, guys, we can sit here and do this once a week for the next year and a half, but come December 1st, 2026, it might be a while before we see baseball again. That is going to get nasty. That's going to be your salary cap, salary floor type of battle, and that's going to get ugly really, really fast. It's ugly already.
The cap's never going to happen. I don't even know why Manfred's trying to approach it right now anyway. The floor, we've talked about this. When it comes to talking about Major League Baseball, our teams, our leagues, our rivalries and all that stuff, we know what we're talking about when we talk about baseball. The floor is how you solve all of the issues. Get these bottom-feeding teams that refuse to spend the money that's being filtered down to them from the Dodgers and the Mets and the Phillies and the Yankees. They're pocketing the money. Open your fucking books and show us how much revenue you're really making, and you're sticking it to your fan base by being cheap. And that to me is what pisses me off, because you have diehard fans like a Luis Dominguez who has to sit there and listen, we've talked about it earlier this week, Lou. You should be proud of your boys. But at the end of the day, you wouldn't have to be proud of just a 80 and 82 performance if that's what you guys finished with. If your friggin' owner would open up his friggin' wallet and buy players to come and play for your team, instead of just hopeful that when you trade away all these players, you invest in a Yelich jersey, a Ozuna jersey, a Stanton jersey, obviously, God rest his soul with Fernandez. That's a death. But you bring these guys up in the system only to see them go away. And to me,
Pittsburgh's the same way, right?
The Phillies used to be that way. Shilling and rolling, and we had these guys that were here before we opened up the bank. I've only had the benefit of those riches over the last 20 years since we opened up the bank, and that's when the Phillies started having the revenue stream to make it happen. You have a newer ballpark in Miami to where that shouldn't be a problem. PNC Park in Pittsburgh should not be a problem. Cincinnati with Great American Ballpark should not be a problem. The Padres used to claim
family sucks.
Yeah, but the Padres used to claim that they were small market. They used to do that. Look at them now.
Yeah. Oh,
they'll live in the red.
Some of the issue, Lou, you're aware of what the hell goes on, right? I mean, you're invested. But, I live in a small market city, right? So I live in Cincinnati, and the shock value of these people that try to sit there and talk about how well they know baseball, how well they know their team. First of all, when you're out here in Cincinnati, the first thing you have to hear about is how they're the first ever franchise, right? That's what they hang their hat on. And then 13,000 of them show up on a Saturday afternoon in the middle of June. So it's I don't really want to hear how proud you are of first franchise when none of you go to that fucking beautiful ballpark down here.
It is beautiful.
On top of that, and it's a wildly underrated ballpark.
Yes.
The bigger kicker I had is when you actually sit and talk to these people about what we're talking about right now, where that floor, don't pocket that luxury tax money. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. They think that, the Yankees, the Phillies, the Dodgers, the Red Sox, the Cubs, the Braves with these big payrolls, that this is the demon. This is, it's all just, they don't see that, we can talk salary cap, but the floor is more important because it stops assholes like Castellini from just not spending money. You've got to get to a point where you're forcing teams to spend money. Every other sport does it. And you just, and in that regard, I don't understand why the players union won't even come to the table. I got to hear about an argument with Manfred and
Harper
and Harper in the Phillies clubhouse. You're here to talk cap. You just get the fuck out, bro. I get it. Clubhouse leader, I understand, but a cap and a floor are needed, and the floor is more important. But I think you've got to have both, right? I don't think the owners are ever going to go for a floor without a cap, and the players are never going to go for a cap without a floor. So you're going to have to find a happy medium in there, and it's going to get very, very nasty. It's going to get ugly.
Agreed. And look, the TV deal's up for, ESPN backed out, even though there's talks that they're coming back in. But
that both froze.
Deal is a huge investment that's going to take place here in the offseason. And then also, we're on the verge of getting 2 new franchises. We're going to get to 32. It's going to be, 4-team divisions, most likely, and probably 8 playoff seeds, which I'm against, but that's probably where we're headed. So all that, what does that mean? More money? And they got to figure out a way where all that's going back in the pot, as Chris mentioned, as you're mentioning, Adam, we got to get these smaller market franchises to do their part and spend that money.
I am against expansion right now. We're not filling the ballparks that we have. I am against expansion. I think you've got to take care of what is already there or relocate rather than expand. That's just my opinion. I don't like hearing about we're going to add Nashville, we're going to add Charlotte, or we're going to add Salt Lake City. Like, look, the Rays have trouble drawing, right? Could you move one of them to Charlotte? For example. I don't think expansion should happen, but we all saw in 2020 that fans and stands don't mean shit. It's all the TV money, right? COVID happened. Nobody was able to go to ballparks, and nobody lost. There wasn't a whole lot lost there. Go ahead, Chris. You had some.
I think expansion is inevitable, and really,
it's inevitable. I'm just saying I don't like it.
Right. I mean, but also at the same time, I think that there's really 2 franchises that struggle right now, and they're both in minor league ballparks. Now, teams like Cincinnati and Miami and Pittsburgh, they're more shot in the foot because of their ownership situations. They have the stadiums, they have the newer stadiums to where they should be able to fill those stadiums. But the ownership groups is what has really sold the fans down the river and all those cities. You could blame the stadium and the ownership group for what happened in Oakland, but we're going to see what's going to happen when it gets over to Vegas. These other places that struggle attendance-wise, they are shooting themselves in the foot with the ownership group. I will say this, though. If we do expand, and Rob Manfred, I'm looking solely into your soul right now. If I wind up with the Phillies having to be in a division with the Red Sox, the Yankees, and the Mets, I will find you.
Yes, and I won't kill you.
Because the National League and the American League is a sanctity. You need to maintain that. Because you have done so much to take away from the game. And again, listen, I can deal with certain things. I can deal with expanded playoffs. Great ideas. DH being universal. I've learned to live with it. The pitch clock. I've learned to live with it. But at the end of the day, the National League and the American League, the Ghost Runner has to go. I'll never agree with that whatsoever. Especially because now the rosters are deeper than they've ever been, and they have enough pitching to where it shouldn't friggin' matter.
Agreed.
But for the love of God, the National League and the American League, to stay how they are constructed, you want to go 4 divisions and 4 teams in each division, do whatever you want. But if you're going to talk about a National League East team or National League East division, it should be the Phillies, it should be the Mets, it should be the Nationals, and then whoever else is close logistically. Maybe the Pirates. Maybe bring back the Pirates because that's the most logistical. If that's what you want to do, have at it, Haas. But once you mess up and you mix the National League and the American League, that's where I'm at.
No, I can't get on board with that. I hated that whole conversation when it happened. I'm with you. So why? Because we're all the big market teams. Why should we get punished for that? Right? You get the Phillies, Yankees, Mets, and Red Sox all in one division. And you're going to tell me only one team is going to be deserving of the playoffs coming out of that division? That's fucking bullshit. This is not our fault. This is another reason why you need that floor. Force other teams to do better rather than, catering to the shit ownership that won't put it back on the field. And, we're going to take all the powerhouse teams, put them here. And then all you sniveling little shits will break up in these other 3. Get out of here, man. I can't get on board with any of that. Do not break up the American League and the National League. Look, they flip-flopped the Brewers and the Astros once, right? You can see we lost Chris. He was freezing up here and there for a few. I actually had Wi-Fi issues to start the show. I had to reboot, but He was freezing up a bunch. We just see if he comes back in. But yeah, dude, like I can't get on board with screwing with the American League and National League. I just can't do it.
And I like the middle point where you said that we're not ready for expansion.
Hey,
Adding back, I agree with you, man, because we do have a lot of ballparks that are having trouble being filled up, and I think you need to rectify that situation before you start inviting new teams in, new cities in. So I'm with you.
And but to Chris's point, and I agree with him too, it is inevitable. They're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Guys like us can sit here and be like, well, it doesn't make sense. Move a team to try to get more asses in seats before you look at expanding. They're going to do it because they want to tap into more markets and generate more TV money and so on and so forth. It's just going to happen. But that whole screwing around with the divisions like that and the leagues, you can't. You just can't. That's going too far. It's too much.
yeah, especially to put 4 major payrolls in the same division.
It's bullshit. It punishes us for being better having better ownership groups and more money generated. Why is it my fault as a Yankees fan that we have the Yes Network, right? That generates all of this cash? That's not my problem. Fuck off. Why should I get punished and end up in a division with the Phillies, Mets, and Red Sox, and only one of us can win that division?
Yeah,
it's bullshit.
The one division was the Braves, the Marlins, and 2 expansion teams.
Right.
What?
Why are you putting Ted Turner's adventure on a fucking tee for everybody? Come on, dude.
What? I think really, if you want to put 2 teams in a division because they're logistically there. I mean, put the Rays and the Marlins in the division. I mean, let them battle it out with their prospects and all that stuff, But to put us, it's a complete competitive disadvantage to put those 4 teams with their wallets in the same division. Makes no sense.
It's stupid. It just and nobody's. I think you're going to actually hurt the overall fans of the game. To be honest with you,
yep.
Because let's be honest. Most of who makes up most of the TV market? New York, Chicago, Philadelphia, Los Angeles. Houston, huge market. Got it. Miami's got a huge market. They just the fucking ownership group doesn't know what the hell they're doing down there. But if they do expand, when they do expand, but that's also why if and when they do expand, I don't think they should be looking at, we're going to go to Nashville and Charlotte, right? Because you can't put 2 expansion teams in one division. That would be insane. You'd have to break them up into 2 different leagues. So you look at a Charlotte and Salt Lake City, something like that, where it's separated. And then you can, you're logistically, you take care of all of that. Or Portland. But Portland's, I'll tell you what, man. We've all got the same lifetime goal of hitting every stadium. I don't know if my ass is going to Portland, brother. That is a war zone, dude.
Weird town.
If I do Portland, it's going to be lumped in with Seattle.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not traveling to the Great Northwest twice.
At this point, I would have to because I've already been to Seattle. So is Lou.
Yeah, you would.
Yep. Yeah. And to think I'm going to take that trip to go to fucking Portland.
We had
why don't you put an expansion team in Kensington for crying out loud?
You gotta, hey man, you gotta go where your destination calls you to go.
I know. I promise you it'd be a freaking day game. That much I can promise you for sure. I will be in, day game, and out.
Kevlar.
I am not hanging out, bro. I don't need to see legalized meth. I'm good. Seattle's bad enough. You saw the homeless out there, Lou.
Yeah.
Seattle's pretty rough.
It's rough. It's definitely different.
It's rough.
I heard it was rough in San Fran, but I barely saw any of it. I didn't see a lot of it out there.
Well, if you stay in your major areas, a lot of times in these cities, let's take Nashville, for example. They've pretty much removed all of the homeless off of Broadway because that's the tourist attraction, right? And they don't want that to cross paths. Now, if you're stupid enough to be 4:00 in the morning, bumbling around drunk, and wander down Broadway and past an alley, that's your fucking problem. All the bars are closed. You're an idiot at that point. Your issue. But when you talk about your booming time of the day, 3 p.m., 4 p.m., all the way to like midnight, they don't want the homeless out there. They took them and they removed them all off of Broadway. So when Michelle worked on 2nd Avenue, which is also a pretty good hotspot of nice, live music and stuff like that, they kicked all those people off of Broadway. They all came down 2nd Avenue. They had to kick them off of 2nd Ave too. It got bad. But I think most cities do that with their major areas, especially when they're not a huge city. Like a Philly, it's more difficult. New York, it's more difficult because it's so big. Like you can't just, what are you going to do? You're going to kick all of the homeless off of Manhattan Island? You out of your fucking mind? You know what I mean?
Hey, even then, it's $2,000 for a corner spot.
Bro, like, so, but I do think, like, when I was walking around Seattle, you can kind of tell when things are going to start to turn. Right. And okay, we're not going down there. It's going to get bad. But I think that's what you're seeing is they just kind of shove the homeless out into other areas. They can't control it, but they can control where it's taking place for the most part.
You see what they're worried about in Seattle over the next couple of weeks? The Seahawks are home. And with Seattle, with the Mariners, like they are worried about down there because they are not structurally built to accommodate many people between both of those stadiums that are 1/10 of a mile apart. They are
literally right across the street.
Yes. Even if you like they're same day and with the time frames, like, dude, they are very worried right now about how they're going to be able to handle it, especially this upcoming Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
There's no choice. I mean, this is the one. Yeah, this is the one. Like the Mariners are going to be home on Sunday because the DS plays game 2 on Sunday and then the NLDS is on Monday. So that's going to be a logistic nightmare down there between the Seahawks and the Mariners.
Crazy.
And it is. That's a very tight, congested area. Lou, you've been there. There's not a whole lot of wiggle room down there. They do have the rail, the light rail, the Orca, but that will be overwhelmingly packed. That's not going to solve all your problems. They're going to have a hard time. Hey, what the fuck ever? Like, figure it out, guys. You know what I mean?
Hey, that's their problem.
Exactly.
I don't have to worry about that down here at the bank.
Uh-uh.
We got the Phillies on Saturday and Monday, and we got the Birds on Sunday. So it's going to be nice and easy down there this upcoming weekend. So what are you guys thinking? We know what the matchups are now, the wild card series.
Let's do that.
What are we thinking now? As far as like your 4 winners that are coming out of the wild card series and going into the DS.
Well, hold on. Before we start that, do we remember what our original picks were before the season? I'm just curious.
I remember neither of mine are in the postseason.
Really? Dodgers over the Rangers, I think. I'm not sure though. Chris,
You did.
Padres over Red Sox. That was my World Series.
Padres over Red Sox. I took a chance on the Braves, just thinking, I didn't want to take the Dodgers. I kind of wanted to take Atlanta, just dig at you guys a little bit, and if they got healthy and got their ship righted, I thought it would be kind of a fun pick, but that didn't work out for me. So, and of course, the Rangers. You and I, Lou, agreed on the Rangers, and that obviously didn't work out either. So I went over.
100%. I'm still alive, baby. Both my teams are the 5 seed. So, hey,
they're both in.
They're both in.
But yeah, I mean, you start looking at these series. Okay, so you got your 6-3 matchups on both sides. Detroit and Cleveland. I don't know. Is this a cripple fight?
I think it's
to
Cleveland.
See who gets to go to. I think Cleveland's the hotter team right now. Detroit has really fucked up down the stretch.
Skubal got hurt in his last start, right?
And I saw that, and that's the death blow for.
I mean, like I don't know, I don't know what the severity is of it, but it can't be right if Skubal's pulling himself in the 5th inning, and it looked like he was an oblique, like it was like his side, and then he also hit a dude in the face in that start. Like,
yeah, he did.
You got to be shook after doing something like that, where you throw a 99-mile-per-hour heater that hits a dude in the face.
Yeah, man.
And I do. I like Cleveland in that series. I don't even without the Skubal thing. Even if he's there and he's right, I don't like the way the Tigers have looked since the All-Star break. They have really just fallen off. Actually, before the break, they were already starting to fall off. But really, after that, they just.
It's the complete opposite of last year.
Run away and hide in the American League for that first half.
Complete opposite of last year. They were dog shit in the first half. They were world beaters in the second. They were world beaters the first half of the season. They were dog shit in the second.
going into the last few games here, it was on the table that they could have been all the way out if Houston could have gotten their shit together. There was the possibility Detroit doesn't even get in.
Yeah.
So I like Cleveland in that series, and I mean I don't know how competitive we want to look at. I don't think either team is all that great. I just think Cleveland's playing better baseball right now.
Agreed.
The same. And to your point, they should have been out had Houston not fallen apart as well. But man, a month ago, Detroit was in play for the number 1 overall seed in the AL. I mean, and they just completely fell off. I think they're shook. I don't give them a chance in that series. I'm saying it's a Tribe.
Yeah, I like the Tribe in that one. And you're gonna move to the 4-5, which is this is what everybody wants in the postseason. When you're a baseball fan, you want to see Yankees, Red Sox. Even if you hate both teams, it's like a wreck on the highway, right? You can't not look, right? You know what I mean? It is Yankees, Red Sox. There's going to be juice. This is one of those series, Lou, where I definitely side with you, and that each team should at least get a home game. All 3 of these games at Yankee Stadium, I think, is a letdown for the sport because you don't get Fenway in October.
Big time.
I think that, and I think that's a bummer for the sport. I full on believe that if this was flipped the other way and the Yankees were the 5 and Boston was the 4, I don't give the Yankees a snowball's chance in hell if we had to go to Fenway for all 3. Fact that this is in New York, I'd say it's pretty much anyone's series. Boston was better than us head-to-head this year. But I'll stick with my boys. We're playing a little bit better over the last month of the season. I'll stick with the Yankees moving on to take on the Blue Jays.
Yep, and I'd agree. I think the Yankees are going to pull this out, but it's a win-win for baseball and for the fans. You get Red Sox Yankees in a 3-game series for the right to move on. I think it's awesome. I still, as you mentioned, Adam, I'd love to see one of those games at Fenway. Not going to happen, but that's a shame. But it's tremendous to see those 2 teams going at it. I think we can pretty much pencil it in as the primetime game, every game of the series. I don't think
6:08.
Red Sox
6:08.
1 o'clock. I think it's going to be a nice, time when everybody's out of work and as many eyes as possible could be on this matchup.
All 3 games are 6:08 p.m.
The only reason why it's not later is because the Dodgers are in the.
Right. That's it.
Yeah,
that's literally the only reason.
That's LA time. So I'll tell you, I know I picked the Red Sox to make it to the World Series, and I think that they have the distinct advantage in the simple fact that they have Garrett Crochet. As far as that's concerned, I will say this though: I think the Yankees, obviously, I look good if the Red Sox win. As far as my predictions from the beginning of the year, I think the Yankees have really righted the ship over the last couple weeks. I haven't heard much about their defensive woes or defensive issues over the last couple weeks. Although I think Volpe had a Don McNabb moment, I think, earlier on the day where he threw the ball right into the crowd. He definitely killed some worms. I think we lost Adam on that one.
Give me a knife.
I think I think if any series has the best chance to go 3, it's this one.
Yeah, I would agree with you there too, brother. Yep, I do think they're a little bit more evenly matched than the. I don't think I think Crochet is a distinct advantage for the Sox. I agree with you. But then you have the Yankees, the sum of the parts after that. It kind of trues it back up. So I'm on your side with that. I think this one has the not even just the best chance, the likelihood of 3 games.
And has Chapman given up a hit over? He had a 50-inning stretch or whatever.
It's October now. He'll fuck it up.
That's the thing though. They have their hammer. They have their hammer at the back end. They really don't have much else in between. Lucas Giolito, and then they have Bello. They don't really have much else that really stands out. I don't know who the Yankees would start in Game 3. Will Warren. Would he be
Warren or Schittler?
Who would have the advantage? That would be a complete empty out your bullpen game between the two teams in Game 3. But I think the Yankees being at home, this is Yankee Stadium. It's not old Yankee Stadium, but it's still a Yankee Stadium. I think the Yankees should win this series.
Yeah, as we're all on the same page for the first 2 there. Cleveland. I think Cleveland just mops up the Detroit, puts them out of their misery. Yankees and Red Sox probably does go 3, like the Yankees there. Move over to the National League side. Cincinnati and LA. Look, I would love for Tito to be able to get those kids together and have them shock the freaking world. But it's just not very likely. It's also not likely that this would go 3. The Dodgers are just so much more talented than the Reds at this point. Now, look, the one thing I will say about the Reds is their young pitchers are good. They're really good. And if the moment doesn't become too big for them, it could present a problem. I just think the moment's going to be too big for them at Dodger Stadium, and they're not quite ready to take that jump. And so the Dodgers probably just take the 2 games and move on, unfortunately.
There's really 2 guys in that Dodger lineup that scare you now. I mean, Teoscar Hernandez hasn't had that great of a year. Mookie Betts has had a really down year. They've had some contributions toward the bottom part of the lineup. Are they getting Will Smith back? Has that been announced yet? Because I know as of earlier, he still hasn't been playing.
No, he has not been playing.
So I'm not sure about you're losing a guy that was playing for the batting title there for a little while. Up until the last month of the season before he got hurt. I look at it like this when it comes to that series. If you can control Ohtani and you can control Freddie Freeman, they have a shot. But,
yes.
But as great as their young pitchers are, you got to beat Yamamoto, you got to beat Blake Snell, and then it's either Tyler Glasnow or Ohtani. Good luck.
Yeah, it's. I think just the overwhelming gap in talent overall just wins it out.
And
To
experience.
be honest with you.
Experience too.
Experience, absolutely. Yeah, the Reds are young, dude. They're not there yet. They're in this spot a lot because Tito is their manager. I full on believe that. I think he got the best he could get out of that young squad, and I think they continue to get better as long as he's there. They're not ready for this right now. Not at Dodger Stadium.
It is a tall order for a very young team. They got the skipper in place that if he were to shock the world to do so would be Tito. But again, too young of a team and going up against a monster team and franchise. It is going to be awesome to see Ellie De La Cruz on the national spotlight, get him some airtime. He's one of the great young talents of the game. And so that's always good to have some eyeballs getting a chance to check him out.
Two marquee franchises, man. Like as vintage National League as it can possibly get. The Reds and the Dodgers.
Reds and Dodgers, man.
Yeah.
If you're a baseball fan, that's must-see TV, dude.
Correct.
It'll be tough for me to keep my eyes open for the whole game, but I will be tuned in as I'm laying down. I fucking promise. The final wild card round, Chris and I talked this briefly, Lou, before you were able to come on, was, looking forward to, this one because you're going to get October baseball at Wrigley Field. And you get the Padres and the Cubs. Good teams. I still think if the Padres are hot, they may very well be the best team in the National League. Cubs have been a little bit Jekyll and Hyde. Not really sure what the hell you're going to get out of them. But October baseball at Wrigley, how can you not love that?
Awesome. I love Wrigley. Been there. It's my number one ballpark overall. Nothing like it, right? Just the history, walking around Wrigleyville is awesome. I will say this, though. Petco is in my top 5, and that is a tremendous venue. They sell out all the time. And again, the fact that you're not going to have, postseason baseball at Petco Park, that hurts the game as well. But again, Wrigley getting postseason baseball is what matters here, and it's going to be a good one. I'm going to say the Cubs pull it out just because they're at home.
I like the Padres. I picked the Padres to win the World Series before the beginning of the year, and unlike the Red Sox with the Yankees, this Cubs team, say what you will about them, their 3 best hitters have gone in the tank largely in the second half. Kyle Tucker has not been right since, mid to late June, since he had that injury. Pete Crow, Armstrong, and Suzuki, as great as they were in the first half of the season, look at their second half numbers. They have plummeted. In particular, Mr. Dynamo, Pete Crow, Armstrong. I just think I understand that San Diego has a lack of power in their lineup. They're not getting the power numbers that they used to out of Tatis. Machado is now a 25, 30 home run guy, if at best. But I'll tell you what, I'll take their starting pitching. I'll take their lineup with a Luis Ariz in there and the experience that they have. They've been in the postseason. They've been there. This Cubs team has not largely been there as a whole. Kyle Tucker is the guy with experience, but not much else. I'm going to take the Padres to take this, and they're going to Milwaukee next weekend.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, dude. I feel like the Cubs, like I mentioned before, a little bit of Jekyll and Hyde in the second half. Almost, not quite. I mean, obviously not as drastic as what's happened to Detroit, but a little bit of that feeling, right? Like they're ripe for the picking, even though they're at home. I like the Padres heading to going on to Milwaukee.
Yeah, and also, Chris, you mentioned the bats, maybe not as prolific power wise this year, but you can. A lot of players can hit the ball out of Wrigley to the stadium, so those bats are going to have a chance to swing for the fences and hit a lot of balls on the corner of Waveland and Sheffield Avenue and outside of the ballpark there.
As long as the wind's blowing out, because the three of us know, having been there, you never quite know how the wind is going to blow in, especially in October. The way the wind blows off of Lake Michigan, it blows in. So, if you're going to get the ball out, it's got to be down low on a line.
Yeah, you got a line drive.
The bleachers. Yeah, you get that ball up in the air, it's going to knock down. You're going to have a lot of pop flies out there in the outfield.
Only bummer with that series, all three of those games are 3:08 Eastern starts, and we're all at work, which really fucking sucks. Because you talk October baseball at Wrigley, and the likelihood is none of us are home by the time. I mean, I might get home and catch the end of it, right? Like the last half an hour of it.
Yeah. We got fall ball practice. Yeah, we got fall ball practice at 5. I got a funeral and fall ball practice on Friday, starting at 5 both. So I got to go to the funeral down the street, and then I got to go. My neighbor Jimmy passed away on Thursday night, so we're gonna stop in, pay our respects, and then get over it. Going to drop Carson off over there. The coaches are going to watch him until I get over there and help him out. But
sure,
yeah. So, but and I got to tomorrow. I got to mow the lawn. I got to put the Halloween decorations up on Wednesday. So. If I don't get the inflatables up on Wednesday, there's going to be a mutiny at my house, and he starts. he's 6.5, so I can't piss off the little guy.
No doubt.
The West Coast start time also for the West Coast, for the Padre fans. That's what, a 12 o'clock start time. I mean, if it was 3, you could get out of work a couple hours earlier, but at noon, that's a tough ask for those to watch those games, man. That's tough out there.
Yeah. So, did you guys want to keep going through this?
Do we want to have another show?
Or do you want to pause and do this again next weekend?
Yeah, I mean, did you guys talk about the teams getting the byes? Toronto, Seattle, and Philly, and Milwaukee. You guys touched on that?
We touched enough. Yeah, we touched on them. Then we talked about Milwaukee leaking oil getting into October. We talked about the Phillies. Obviously, got to talk about the Phillies. Right. I don't know what asshole wants to talk about the Phillies, but it's just we
mentioned how Toronto had been leaking oil as well, but got themselves corrected to lock down that 1 seed in the AL East, and then the nice getting October baseball at T-Mobile Park should be a really kick-ass thing too. Yeah, we touched on all that. Not like real deep or anything. Chris went in on the Phillies, of course, but other than that, no. So I mean, really, so right now we've got Cleveland at Seattle, Yankees at Toronto, Dodgers at Phillies, and Padres at Brewers. Except Lou, you've got Cubs at Brewers. So we could leave it there and revisit. Or keep mowing them along now. Now, I don't know what everybody's night looks like here. But so I mean, we've been in here for an hour and a half. I don't want to monopolize everybody's time either.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking if we want to we can keep this moving throughout the postseason. We could do Friday night. We could do a Friday night show after the wild card series is over and set ourselves up for the DS. If you guys are available, I should be free on Friday night. I got nothing going on.
Lou?
We're going to Charlotte on Saturday, so it'll be tough Friday night. But I could come on for a little bit and give my predictions. Based on what happens in these first couple games.
What are we thinking?
What time? What works on Friday night? I mean, I'm usually home by 4:30, so I can. Chris, I know you got the little guy to put him to bed and stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, if we do an early show before Rach goes out that night, Rach is going out with her friend. But I mean, if we want to do like a dinner time show, I mean, I could do like a, like what works for you guys?
Lou, what's
Probably
your
earlier
schedule
works for Lou.
look like?
Yeah, I'd be home. I'd get home around 7-ish. So after
Okay.
we pop on and recap what's taking place thus far and give our predictions for the next round.
Let's do 7.
7. So you get home around 7. You want to call it 7:30?
7:30.
Yeah, that sounds good. Are there going to be any game threes on? Everything's wrapped up by Friday.
Everything's wrapped up
Everything's
Thursday
wrapped
night.
up. Yep,
Okay.
everything's wrapped up Thursday night, so we'll know what's in front of us on the weekend. So yeah, I think it sounds like a good idea.
I just might have to deal with the kids might be coming in and out, but hey.
Oh, brother, dude, I got the fucking open window right here to my kitchen. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah, but your kids are older and more self-efficient. Mine are
which
going
also
to
makes them loud.
I haven't picked up except for when Sunshine came in with your food earlier.
Yeah, well, which there wasn't enough of either, because
It's only 7:30. You can still go back for more.
I better not. But yeah, all right. So we want to call it 7:30 on Friday night.
Let's do it.
Let's do
It
it.
work
Yeah,
for you guys? All right, yeah, good.
guys. Obviously, your teams are going on. It was the end of the line for my Fish today, but very proud of the way they played. Finished with a 79 and 83 record, but a lot of people thought this was going to be a 100-loss team. So take solace in a great year, and we got our magnet schedule for next year. Chris, I know you're coming
Nice.
I'm coming in May, baby. I'm coming.
down
Very good.
ball game, and yeah.
Hey Lou, you're gonna have to get me in touch with like your ticket rep because I'm bringing a lot of people are coming down.
We'll make it happen for sure.
So we're gonna have to set something up to where we're looking to do a couple games. We're gonna stay in Fort Lauderdale over off the beach, over that way, and then we'll be coming into Miami for a couple games out of that set. So well, obviously down the line, but
We'll get it straightened out. Sure.
I wish to God I could join you guys down there. May is an incredibly tough month for me. Like between Mother's Day and then I've got 2 of my kids' birthdays during that month. Plus they get out of school right around Brooklyn's birthday. Grady's birthday is May 27th. Hers is May 20th. School ends right in between the 2 of them. Mother's Day.
this is May 1st through the 4th, man. May 1st through the 4th.
I get it. I get it. Are you kidding me? My ass would be in such a fucking sling. But before we get out of here, Lou, why don't you go ahead and give us a 305 plug, man? It's get your information out there.
Yeah, no, we got our SoFlo Sports Show. Airs different times depending on when we can get around to it. But no,
Sounds familiar.
Right?
we're coming up. We went to Buffalo. We celebrated our anniversary up in Toronto. So we saw we were out there the night that the Blue Jays clinched the playoff spot. That was pretty cool. And we're going to Charlotte next this weekend. Actually, just a 1-day trip. We're going up on Saturday, catching the game on Sunday and flying back Sunday night. And then we got our big trip over at Atlanta. Dolphins and Falcons coming up at the end of the month in October 24th. Some exciting things to happen, and we're here to document it all. So,
How was Highmark, real quick? How was Highmark? Did you enjoy your experience there? You went through a table? I haven't seen a video yet of you doing
Where's
it.
the video? We need video of this.
Man.
said that video is only going to be released if we win. We did not do it, so I'm shelving it until we get back there with a win.
What the hell, man? Come on.
No, hold on. And now, if you beat the Jets tomorrow night,
Maybe we'll see. I can't make any promise, but it's out there, and you might have to check it out for a dark web or something.
how did you go through? Did you go feet through? Did you go ass through? Like, give us how high up were you? Were you on the back of a pickup truck? I mean, come on, man, share the deets.
We got to have some deets here, dude. Let's go.
I went for it. In due time, it'll come out. But no, listen, it's a great stadium. It's an old stadium, over 55 years old, but I thought it was a really cool stadium. It's actually underground. A lot of history in that stadium. Thankfully, a lot of it bad history for those Buffalo Bills. But no, great time. The fans were great. They get a lot of bad rap, but man, we did not encounter any.
Sounds familiar.
I got to be honest. Everybody was cool. The banter back and forth was sophomoric. but very respectful. You know, hey, squish the fish. All right, buck buffalo.
Yeah, did you wear that hat?
Yeah, but nothing. Everything was cool about it, man. Nobody was after you, man. What are you doing? We had a great time, man. So it was a lot of fun.
Good shit, man. Well, that's it. Chris, go ahead and give us the updated details on Green Legion with the with the pregame show.
Yeah, so
at
next week will be our next simulcast, 9 to 10. You can check us out, Fox 29 streaming, as well as 102.5 Fox Sports The Gambler, which you can find on the iHeartRadio app. You can listen to us anywhere worldwide. But the simulcast, we got off to a bit of a rough start. We were a little bit late with getting on air, but from what we've heard, they were very satisfied and happy with the product. I wish Quimby would let it go as far as us wearing those fucking, Fox Sports polos and just letting us unleash the beast. But he did say I could wear a hat because I told him, I was like, dude, I can't go on looking like this on TV. I was like, I'm going to look like friggin' Uncle Fester. I was like you got to give us some creative license to wear a hat. So I'm looking forward to the next show. And if all goes right, we're hopeful that next year we're going to be on actual TV for all of our broadcasts, all of our pregame show broadcasts. So yeah,
that's
the goal.
So the whole premise was fans, right? This is a fan pregame show.
Correct.
In jerseys, in T-shirts, wearing hats. This is the atmosphere. It's what you wanted and what you signed up for. Why are you trying to change it? You know what I mean?
My biggest gripe.
Some of it is, I understand some of it, but don't take all of that away. It's what makes it what it is.
Well, if Quimby had his druthers, we would look like Jack Black from School of Rock. We were going to have dress shirts with ties and wearing shorts because nobody could see behind the table of what we were wearing. And I'm like, do you know how ridiculous that would look? Especially for some of us chubby guys like me and Trey. I will say this: if you did watch the show last week, we really appreciate it. I do believe we are looking to we're looking to move the stage a little bit because I didn't mind the backdrop, but to me, where we're at in the corner of 11th and Patterson, right there in the epicenter of the sports complex in South Philadelphia, to have the worst view behind us of just K-Lot and the solar panels, like we could have did it any which way. I know Brace originally was hoping that we were going to be like a college game day feel where we would have the fans right behind us. Whether you angle it to where we're stateside now and we have a Surfside Live sign right there at the bar. We have a fire pit right there. Fans will be all right behind us. Or if you caddy corner us and we put the bank behind us now that we're in Red October, because hopefully the Phillies have a run on them. Or if you put us up on the patio underneath and we had the link in the background, we have so many options. I felt like out of all the options to put the stage
that was the worst one.
That was the worst one logistically.
Yeah, I agree with it. I haven't been there enough and seen what you were just talking about. I agree. I mean, look, it's a football pregame show, so I feel like the ideal is the link backdrop, right? Like just because it's the football field,
right?
If you can't do that, doesn't work out for it, then I would put the bank behind me. Give me a fucking stadium behind me. Right? That's what I'd be after.
Even if the bank is a small sliver of it, right behind like our left shoulder. But we're doing a broadcast at now Stateside Live, which has Surfside products. There's a big Surfside, sign that's attached to the bar, and you would have all the fans getting their drinks right there. And when we come back live, the fans are sitting there going crazy and doing Eagles chants. Like, to me, that's the college game day feel that we were talking about doing with this and bringing people. Listen, if you're at home, and we say it when we do our intro, it's the virtual tailgate. You're at home, you're listening to the pregame show because you want to be a part of that Green Legion tailgate. Well, guess what? Now that we're on TV, somewhat quasi-TV, now you're there with us. You can see behind us and you're a part of it. And you know what? Maybe that next game after that, you're going to spend the $80 to come down and spend 4 hours and hang out with us at a live broadcast and join the actual tailgate, which is the best spot in the sports complex for an Eagles tailgate on game day. It's the best. You can't beat it.
Crispin, is your sound over where the crowd can hear it live?
Yes.
The way to do it.
Yeah. To me, that is the legit way to go. Had the people behind us, you guys know how this goes. You guys have been sports fans for years, just like I have been. The coolest thing for people to be is on TV. Whether it's
Yes,
a small
of course.
split second, they want to feel like they're a part of it. And if they're
Hold up
behind us,
stands with goofy
yes,
shit. Yep.
yes, let them be a part of the show and take it in and enjoy it. And they can call people and be like, "Oh, turn on Fox 29. I'm right here behind the Green Legion radio thing. Hey, check it out." Like, that's what we want. Involve people, get them involved instead of that crap behind us that there's nothing there. We need to do something different with the stage, and I think we are. We'll do something different next week.
You'll get it figured out. There's no doubt. They always do. Right?
There's too many brains on this project not to make the best.
And sometimes that works to your disadvantage. You got too many Chiefs and not enough Indians. That can be a little bit of a disadvantage too. But I think in this situation, you get it figured out. There's too many great vantage points there to not pick a better one. And just, okay, let's try here this week. Oh, fuck, that one didn't work as well. Let's move it over here. Until you find the right one, like this year should be used to perfect all of that so that next year becomes a well-oiled machine and you're in the right spot with the right backdrop, with the fans around. That's exactly what you guys should be using this
We
week.
have 3 more 1 o'clock game as of right now. Hopefully we add another one on later in the season with, I believe it's Washington would be our last game. Hopefully that's another one that we can get in there in the last week of the season. But we do have 3 more shows coming up. We have the Broncos, and then we have the Giants a few weeks later. So over the course of the next month, we're going to have that. And let's get a nice Red October run down there to add to the fervor of what's going on with this Eagles team. How awesome have these last 4 years have been that the Eagles and the Phillies have given us 2 Super Bowl appearances with a Super Bowl trophy, 2 NLCS appearances with a World Series appearance. I mean, Philadelphia sports fans, we have dreamed of times like this, and hopefully we can do 2 parades down Broad Street in a calendar year would be the most insane thing ever. And I still say that the most beautiful day that I've ever experienced in my life outside of my children being born, and I will put it above my wedding day, although I do love my wife, and I do love my wedding day was awesome. But October 31st, 2008, Halloween on a Friday, the Phillies going down Broad Street. Nothing better.
Yeah, I remember going down the Canyon of Heroes following the Yanks parades years ago. That was it's special, when it's your favorite sport and it's your favorite team and they win. It's a little different. Lou, you've done this a couple of times in Miami now, so everybody here has had that feel at least once. And it's very, very special.
I mean, the Eagles, both parades, awesome. Cold. So cold. And
cold. The second one, I mean, that one this year, it was cold. It wasn't bitter, nasty, like brutal ass cold. When the sun was out, it was actually kind of okay.
I felt
the evening it got fucking cold. But
yeah, I mean, Jacob was cold, and I got to experience that with both of my kids. So that was really awesome. But like that was one of the best days of my life. Going down there and watching the parade go by. But having a fall day. Where it's it's a brisk mid-50s, mid-60s.
Man, you're out there with your coat on. You got the freaking hood. You get your coffee with a little brandy smacked in there, a little bit of bourbon in your coffee. And it's a beautiful day, right? For me, I'll be back here on Wednesday night. Gonna probably stay at the house again for this one. I got a pretty busy work week, so trying to get up to the back porch to do that show has just been a little bit too much of a struggle for me lately.
Plus the Yankees.
We got the Yanks going on. We'll be back here. So I will actually be live during what is that going to work out to? That will be game 2. Starts at 6:08. I will be live while that's going on, so I'm sure I'll be a distracted mess. But as usual, it'll be the recap of this past, of today's Birds game, which was, of course, another series of heart attacks. They just love us to live in constant state of cardiac arrest.
4-0.
Taking a look, and then taking a look at the Broncos coming into Philly this coming weekend. I'm hoping at some point we can actually put a full game together. We'll see. But yeah, that'll be our thing. And we'll hit a little baseball. I've been trying to keep baseball off of that show so that it saves it for this. You know what I mean?
Hey, we got Friday.
I like to just and then we'll all be back here again on Friday night. So
it's the playoffs. Let's go.
That's it. October baseball, guys.
Love it. We're here.
So we good? Everybody right on? All right. We'll see you guys back here on Friday. Anybody who was in the room now or watches later, thank you very much. Come back again Friday, 7:30 p.m. this Friday. The Three Amigos here, Heart of the Order, episode 8, as we move on and take a look at the division series coming up. And at some point, we're going to have to start talking postseason award or, regular season awards as well. I'm sure everybody's got their own opinions of the American League MVP. I know where my voting would go, but we'll
National League Cy Young. National League Cy Young, baby. It should not be Paul Skeens.
That'll be a fun night. Until then, folks, take care. Don't do anything we wouldn't do. Remember, the judge ain't back till tomorrow. Okay? It'll be a long night. Take care, folks. This has been Heart of the Order. We will see you on Friday night.